Лучше я вам русскую песню спою. Russian song. Моя душа поет. An open message to the American people and progressive people around the world from a Russian astrologer. Attention to American citizens, true Democrats and freedom fighters for fair elections and effective politics. Think, where is your money going? US taxpayer money, perhaps again to some senseless wars? I have been successfully practicing astrology in Russia for more than 20 years. I have clients from the USA and other countries, and I do not divide the world into Russians or Americans. I think that we all live on the same planet, and now we all have something to think about. Solve a thorny problem. This problem is simple. What to do with 150 million Russians? After all, this is a terrible evil, a threat to the entire security of an enlightened and democratic Europe. Today, Russia will bomb Ukraine, and tomorrow Russia military expansion will go further into Europe, and who will then protect democracy and world peace if not the United States? I am not a politician, but only an astrologer and analyst, and based on my professional experience, I can draw a large-scale strategic conclusions about the development of specific influential personalities and the development of business, corporations, and even countries. Conclusions about world politics, and now all my conclusions are that it is time for the Holy War to change, and for America it is time for a critical review of its foreign policy to upgrade and improvement. To tomorrow, to retain the status of the land of freedom and democracy, the status that you are rapidly losing in recent years. According to many political analysts, the world community. I am Russian, and I do not support the political course of Putin VV, never supported, and I don't belong to any party, and all my analysis is astrological from the stars, objective and unbiased. In addition, I love the culture and history of America, as do many people in Russia. And I am sure that very soon America will need a humanitarian aid. And NATO is that military bureaucratic organization that has been justifying its existence for a long time by itself instigating and financing wars and political instability around the world. America, everyone would love and respect much more if you did not have these disease claims to world domination and the maintenance of the long obsolete NATO system. This is an organization that really needs an external enemy, an external threat, an external fear. Fear of the dark. Fear of the dark. I have the Russophobia. Iron Maiden. And in your country, holy organizations work day and night to cultivate by means of propaganda, through indoctrination and suggestion in the official media, this image of the enemy from Russia. Your media, for the most part, have turned from independent, objective analytical sources into blind machines
for the implementation of propaganda of enmity with Russia as the main enemy after the collapse of the USSR. Ask yourself, do you want to live in peace with the American stars and stripes flying over the entire planet, so that all these countries with different cultures, different history, religions will be turned into new states, and for America to educate and support these nations to lead them to its own model of American happiness at any price, through the financing of biological weapons in Ukraine, through the constant political pressure on the members of the United Nations Security Council, through the media that have become hypocritical and deceitful with falsified data, do not tell the wholly objective truth. The truth that they are documented or simply brazenly lie to the citizens of the country and the holy world. You already, in fact, constantly support different countries of the world only for own political loyalty to the United States, adherence to your liberal democratic value system. But in many of these countries, there are not useful resources for your country, but there are flows of diverse immigrants, socially unprotected people, and constant requests from the governments of these countries to finance various political adventures. What for? Do such a great and powerful country as the USA ever need such an irrational political system? Repeat, please. Does such a great and powerful country as the USA ever need such an irrational political system? Or perhaps it is time for you to change your worldview, your policy, above all your international one. Maybe there are countries and peoples who do not need your model of democracy at all, and who are much older and wiser than you in the ethnic development, and the country even richer in terms of the energy potential and wise foreign policy, such as the United Arab Emirates. Wise foreign policy, such as the United Arab Emirates. And there are many people around the world who love and appreciate the culture and history of the United States, celebrates July 4 as Independence Day, and themselves are drawn to your country, striving to find the second home there. America's country constantly in demand by immigrants and the best minds, talented people of various professions themselves constantly come to your country wishing to obtain USA citizenship. But with such an aggressive and senseless foreign policy, you discredit yourself, your great nation, your own model of democracy, by arresting the accounts of Russian citizens, putting pressure on voting in the United Nations, and going as far as direct discrimination based on nationality. America, it's high time to take up the mind and start changing its policy. It is for you very soon. You may need a doctor and lawyer. America, it's time for you to start living a more rational policy and show more sincere friendship to your neighbors who are becoming stronger. A new world order is being formed in which new international centers and strongholds of political and economic power are emerging. China, Russia, Malaysia, the United Arab Emirates, India, and other countries. Only in the old and sick minds a new strong country is perceived as a threat to America's security. The strong countries are based on ancient religious, ethnic, cultural traditions and are not all going to abuse the political power and military power to harm your country. New strong countries are not your enemies and not a threat, but potential allies and friends of your big market, the big new world. But as long as you have old people in power, with a painful perception of the world, based on a political doctrine from the past, where an external enemy is definitely needed, you will not develop further progressively. And you American Fort Knox, your money will be gradually depleted, spent on incomprehensible, это невозможно говорить, incomprehensible, это пиздец, incomprehensible expenses of military global adventures all over the world in order to only support the old obsolete model of power and peace, where America is the only and great world leader. It's not like that for a long time. Open your eyes, open your mind. New political centers have long been formed all over the world, and you will not be able, with all you desire, to fight the holy world for your painful domination. And if Russian Federation unites with China, imagine that. And repeat please, with a painful perception of the world based on a political doctrine from the past, where an external enemy is definitely needed, you will not develop further progressively. In fact, dear citizens of America, you have long been supporting the crazy madmen who are in your power, which finance endless wars around the world. It is not clear for what purpose and why. And then these politicians shift all the blame for the military strategic failures to Russia, when the main interest of Russia at all times is simply to live and work peacefully. And in Russia there are a lot of people who love and appreciate the history and culture of the United States. You are very much looking forward to the release of the new move from the Star Wars saga, Obi-Wan Kenobi. There are many fans of George Lucas in Russia. I personally grew up with Anglo-American literature, science fiction and fantasy with names like Robert Sheckley, Harry Harrison, Clifford Simak, Roger Zelazny, Kate Laumer, Michael Moorcock, Arthur C. Clarke and others. Of course, I really love the books and work of the English writer Tolkien G.R.R. These are my teachers, focusing on whose work I am now writing my books. If we talk about music, I won't even talk about Elvis Presley or Motorhead, AC/DC, Scorpions, Metallica, Iron Maiden, many others groups. And there are many examples of the various beautiful and powerful Western contemporary music. Sorry by my English, I'm a student. I'm even silent about Elvis Presley or Motorhead and many examples of other different beautiful and powerful Western contemporary music. Everyone always loves Elvis Presley, Ozzy Osbourne or Cinderella, Aerosmith. Everyone knows these rocks and roll bands in Russia. There are many fans of these bands. Those fans of music lovers will always come to a Pink Floyd concert. Metallica recently performed in Russia on the song Blue Tip, the legend of rock in Russia, Viktor Tsoi. Everyone knows the progressive rock band Pink Floyd and the song Dogs of War. But who is behind these atrocities of any war? Only politicians, which are not able to implement the strategic political course by other peaceful methods. And this is not a problem of any political organization in a single country. It is a whole system of a bipolar world which gradually turned into a unipolar one, and now we see the formation of a multipolar world, or in the worlds all people realize that we live on small planet. And this civilization may simply perish as many civilizations perished in ancient times, and not leave a real trace if you do not reconsider our police now. All people, both in Russia and in the USA and in other countries. Everyone loves America for Hollywood, which pleasure review old films from the 16th or 18th with the participation of Clint Eastwood. And then there was a golden time in the development of our civilization. Films like the Back to the Future trilogy are not longer new film, believe me. Russians know it much better. 2021-2022 this Christmas I was watching old Брюс Уиллис фильмс Die Hard. Брюс Уиллис, привет! Все тебя в России помним и любим, и смотрим фильмы «Крепкий орешек», обалденные, классные, старые американские фильмы. Продолжай в том же духе, молодец. Very good and instructive films, and this is the American culture that all love and know well. These are examples of the American dream and democracy. And in these films we see that you can never negotiate with terrorists. It's pointless. Sometimes against terror one superhero is not enough, and you have to carry out a military operation. Touch it. It is clear there will always be victims. Life is arranged according to somewhat different laws than a well thought out blockbuster script, and this has to be reckoned with. We love your culture and we respect the cultural values that America gave to Russia and the world. But if you want war with the Russians, you will get it too. Remark, this is not a political statement, just my observation of world history, Russian history. Our people know how to fight, and the Russians do not give up. Among our people there is such a saying and such a rule. This rule has been stable from ancient times to the present. And when your government organization some economic sanctions against Russia, you know, for Russians it's like mosquitoes that can interfere with work but cannot stop work. And in the end, we will get rid of these mosquitoes and develop our own immunity, national immunity. New original protection systems to work calmly. New original protection systems to work calmly. Russians and Americans are not enemies. We are divided by the hostile police of our ambitious authorities, but we are alike and we need to learn from each other, learn from experience and just live together on this small planet. And our main common enemy is a monstrously disturbed ecology. Thanks to his imbalance, life has become unsettled everywhere of the planet. In the United States, hurricanes, earthquakes, tornadoes and tsunamis constantly occur, claiming lives and bringing destruction, sometimes even more than any other war. And the gloomy prospect of such a touchless statement of nature is the script of the film Interstellar 2014 about a suffocating planet and the forced search for a new abode for Earth's lungs. New home. In Russia, the large scale of fires of forests and peeled books. Pollution of the environment around the world has long exceeded all reasonable limits, and this is our common and main problem. We are similar and together we have something to work on, but there is also a difference in mentality. A Westerner is more rational. You have organized sanctions against Russia, and the sanctions, according to your schedules, are very successful, beautiful, very fine. Russia's economy, it seems, is about to collapse. But you do not understand that Russian people often live not according to schedules, but according to their own laws. And our country quite often in the entire history of development stood, as they say, on the verge of bankruptcy, but never fell and never gave up, and did not cave in under the enemy. When you activated the sanctions, you simply activated the most ancient hidden Russian resource. Clicked on the main feature of the Russian character, the spiritual resistor of our ancient nation. Do you think that Russians' main button is the button in the president's nuclear briefcase? Nuclear briefcase? No. The main button is the resistance of the Russian people. And this modern politics with the painful cultivation of Russophobia all over the world, the sanctions. You just press the main button of Russia. Resistance of Russian people. And now your government to wage war not with Putin, not with Russian army. The anti-Russian people is rising up against this Russophobia. Our people are 150 million people. The Russian person and the Russian ethnos are arranged in such a way that the more pressure is put on him from the outside. Some enemies, some restrictions, sanctions, just misfortunes and evil, the more the resists. And breaking this resistor is impossible. Remember this well, Americans. This is shown by the whole of Russian history. Refer to it and you will be convinced of these words. Back in time of Napoleon, they said that a Russian soldier must be killed twice and then pushed again so that he falls. Today, wars are being waged in the economic world format with illusions. We are all competitors in the world market, big world market. And in this reality of economic wars, sanctions, of course, this is a certain weapon and a specific blow. But we are all at war now. And all of Russia has united and continues to unite under the auspices of resistance to the sanctions of yours. And if you think that I'm a Kremlin agent and someone pays me for this propaganda, then you are very mistaken. I do not share the police of President V.V. Putin, Владимир Владимирович Путин. Не поддерживаю я его курс, и это другая песня. At all, and the course of this government. I have a lot of lectures and speeches and publications for several years from 2015 to 2022, and everywhere I call it at these years not to vote for Putin. But at the present time, I don't care what Putin's domestic politics are, and even how difficult our economic situation is. It is important for me, as for any Russian person, to resist you, an external enemy, not to submit to the pressure of your sanctions, survive, rebel, adapt and win. И мы это сделаем, так и запомните. И выживем, и победим, и пизды вам дадим еще. And all the sane Russian people have now cast aside all internal disagreements. This war has rallied and united us well for justice, and we will always be able to defend our truth and under any pressure from outside. Once again, I will point out the main miscalculation of your rational politicians. You organize sanctions and look at the graphs of the economy. Count and see. Everything is right. Oh, very well, beautiful, excellent. The graph shows a powerful recession in the country's economy, and you think that you have dealt a tangible blow to Russia, that you are winning. But now I am showing you a different graph. Draw the logarithm of the ethnic resistance of the Russian people and the unity of the Russian ethnos, and admire this rebellious positive hyperbole. Repeat, please. But now I'm showing you a different graph. Draw the logarithm of the ethnic resistance of the Russian people and the unity of the Russian ethnos, and admire this rebellious positive hyperbole.
In my practice, I call such algorithms synchrographics. I am writing a book about it, allegories and infographics that can display some hidden, not obvious processes in synchrographics. I do not like Putin. And talking about love, I do not like Putin. I consider his political course to be disastrous for Russia, and I recent years his authority within Russia has been shaken. Many people were dissatisfied. The political elite in Russia was in great need of revenge. You, with your sanctions, the police of double standards cultivated by Russophobia in the West, have given Putin VV a real trump carte blanche. Now he is again a leader and a national hero in the minds and hearts of Russians, and can carry out any policy in life for the last 3 years of this region. Remark, I'm talking about timing based on astrology. Think about it, US taxpayers, essentially you are finding political support for the authority of another country's president, Russia, Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin. And it is not clear why you need such a policy in which you do not win anything. You politicians have played political games, lied and tangled in the intrigues, and they themselves no longer release what they are doing. By playing world politics, you authorities are putting at risk the further well-being of the people of America. And for the Russian people, your sanctions are just another entertainment, a game of strange testing. Now the year of the tiger is coming, 2022. The tiger is a predator, and they invites everyone to play or fight, speak with appeals to politics and spiritual traditions, the charter and constitution of the country, to be aware of the culture and traditions of the state. The atmosphere of this game is very tense, but if you look closely, it is actually fun, not scary. You just have to learn to be strong. We Russians survived on time, besieged Leningrad, our grandfathers and great-grandfathers, and we are the sons or grandchildren. We had the shock therapy of perestroika and the monstrous economic imbalance, the war in Chechnya, and inequality in the 19th. And we survived it all and become even stronger. And you decided to scare us with some kind of sanctions. It's funny, you are naive. Russia has long been quite successfully seated in the world market, has a certain strange authority and weight,
and influence in world trade and politics, and huge natural resources, smart and talented people. In the end, all you have achieved just some modernization of logistic in world trade. Russia will now trade more closely with China, which is a powerful ally. You know this very well. Achieved powerful ally. In the end, all you have achieved is just some modernization of logistic in world trade. Russia will now trade more closely with China, which is a powerful ally. You know this very well. Prior to this, your government believed that there were two main enemies, Russia and China. Imagine that now, thanks to such a sanction policy, these two titans will gradually merge together. Do you understand what a strong competitor America will get now? Competitor America. And Europe does not have such energy resources at all. The development of alternative fuels takes time and powerful infrastructure. And with Russian oil and gas hydrocarbons, Europe will be able to hold out in its former well-being just a few months. It is for Europe, West Europe, not for Russia. This blow from your sanctions will already be felt. You hit with a sledgehammer on your own. Silly and painful. And in Russia, every simple man in any village laughs at you. Believe me, I communicate with many Russian people. Everyone just laughs at the policy of your government, composes jokes. Among our people, this is called cutting the branch of the tree on which you sit. Idiomatic expression. I personally learned by doing from the textbooks of your American business coach Brian Tracy, and took many of the basic principles for organization my business from these textbooks. Great books. All my friends and colleagues, astrologers and psychologists, entrepreneurs, have great respect for Brian Tracy. I doubt very much that this businessman and wise, already grey-haired analyst would somehow support such a rash step and sanctions against Russia. Ask him, of course. There are many other great American leaders in history to look up to. But the government is doing today is the highest of stupidity. The only question is how quickly you, the American people, release the critical mistakes of you politicians. Turn to history, watch documentaries about world wars, and you will see that everyone who confidently and cheerfully started a war with Russia, even with superior strength, returned home with nothing in a few months, frozen and hungry soldiers, disappointed commanders, broken shells. So it was with the army of Napoleon, so it was with the Nazis during the Second World War. And now a new world order is being formed. Everyone feels and releases it. A new world market is being formed, and even new laws, rules of the game. And here you American politicians have declared a sanctions war against Russia. Do you understand what awaits you in a few months? Do you see this oil painting? oil pictures, oil pointing. According to my astrological calculations, Western Europe will be able to withstand the blow from these crazy sanctions until August 2022 at most. And after that, everyone will gradually return to cooperation with Russia. They will again conclude bilateral agreements that are beneficial for the countries. Agreements are beneficial for the countries. America is a rich country, has more energy resources and a developed economy, a strong industrial infrastructure, and a developed business. You can take this hit, but at the same time you are losing the main thing. You are discrediting yourself in the eyes of the world community. America has always been associated with the herald of democracy. The main symbol, the Statue of Liberty, holds a torch and book in its hands. We all remember it like that and love it, and this is a beautiful and wise figure statue with great sacramental meaning. But today this torch your country often brings not the light of freedom, but the fire of destruction to foreign countries, and the book goes to kindle the fire when you yourself violate the fundamental laws of democracy that you proclaim. When you politicians fund various terrorist organizations around the world, when you interfere with free trade and violate the inviolability of private property. It is true, not what the official BBC or CNN channel tells you. This is the truth that we 150 million Russians see, and this is the truth that many people around the world will support. America, thanks to the policy of you presumptuous, slanderous authorities, the United States can now longer be a beacon of democracy, alas. You have discredited yourself by financing the war in Ukraine and in other countries, and engaging in falsifications and anti-Russian propaganda. What is your government doing? In fact and why? Think. The struggle for democracy in some foreign country is only a pretext here. The USA government is investing huge resources in nature defense against an enemy that is long gone. Here is the truth. And democracy all over the world can develop freely without your military intervention. Come to the new country's market and bring you Hollywood. You will all be very welcome. But whoever comes to us with a sword will die by the sword. Words by Alexander Nevsky. Alexander Nevsky, the great commander of the ancient Russian history. You can hide yourself from this truth and say that I am crazy. But time will pass and all this will become obvious to you. And your government already knows all this now, and they brazenly and hypocritically lie to you and lie to the holy world. Perhaps they lie to themselves. Crazy people. America, you are married in political lies. This is obvious to everyone, except you, the fathers of world democracy. And we no longer want to learn from you. We learned everything a long time ago and took everything that American democracy can give. I say, as an astrologer with extensive experience for the whole of Russia, that now Russians' foreign policy will go to the east towards rapprochement with China, Kazakhstan and India. And EU sanctions war, nota bene, is the tool, the jack with which you pushed Russia to this new progressive world integration. Bravo, America! Russian enlightened people applaud you standing. In Russia now many people go out to demonstrate protests for peace and against war, but in my opinion it is time for you, the American people, to go to demonstrations to the government against the war in Ukraine and against all other wars that are organized with EU money, the money of the USA taxpayers. Why do you need these wars? Russia is not at war with Ukraine. We are only protecting our national interests. Neo-Nazism is a monstrous kind of terrorism that justifies its atrocities with the stupid idea of the superiority of one nation over another. Americans have always been and remain an international country. America and Russia, we are allies in World War II, and we all friends in World War II, and we all believed that we defeated fascism and forever eradicated the crazy ideas of Nazism. Or did it just seem to us? What would you Americans, you government, do if some country, some state suddenly began to deploy stations and entire complexes with biological weapons near the immediate borders of the United States or even at least of the territory of Alaska? We know the answer. Let's remember history, the Caribbean crisis and attempts to deploy missiles in Cuba. And Ukraine is much closer to Russia than Cuba is to the United States. Think about. I won't speak for military strategists, but I believe and see that this war is being conducted as accurately and correctly as possible, with all attention to civilians in Ukraine. Watch independent TV more often, speeches by the politician V.A. Nebenzi at the United Nations, or an interview with MFA Lavrov Sergei Viktorovich. Министр иностранных дел, МФА, Minister Foreign Affairs, Lavrov Sergei Viktorovich. Do you think these respected high-ranking politicians are lying? Let's see what time will show. Astrologer for the truth. The truth will be revealed very soon. As an astrologer, I will say that already in May 2022 the whole world will begin to review its policy towards Russia, and this ridiculous sanctions can last until August 2022 at most, with maximum harm to the countries of Western Europe who supported these sanctions, and with maximum benefit for the further strategic policy of Russia. And the Russian people perceive this war and the sanctions simply as a challenge, as another test to strengthen their fortitude. And now one here in Russia adopts our unequivocal victory in this war. Unequivocal victory in this war. And no one here in Russia doubts our unequivocal victory in this war. According to my calculations, all hostilities will end at the end of April, beginning of May 2022, and the world will become completely different after this war. Transformations awaits Ukraine, powerful transformations will take place in Russia, and what will the USA do in this new world? You will remain in the same ancient doctrine of your undeniable greatness without politicians who really need wars to justify the political course, to close the political miscalculations with these wars. A remark of political correctness. Speaking of old age, I am not talking about the age of politician, but about his outdated thinking perception of the world originally from the 20th century. Do you intend to continue carrying your American democracy to the misguided nations? Aren't you tired of this stupid game in which you never win anything? Or maybe it's time for you to change and learn something new, the rebel Russians. It is high time for all of us to engage in joint progressive space exploration, and this is a definitive challenge to the modern world, to the entire human civilization. Стихи просто poetry, this poetry, civilization. America and Russia, they can play the role of a locomotive leaders on a planet where energy resources are already depleted, even vital clean zones, H2O, water and air, and tomorrow we may all have to move to Mars, Titan, or somewhere else. Remark, watch science fiction films, they are not so far from reality. Only madmen and old people in power can continue to play stupid, crazy political wars originally from the 20th century, to share some incomprehensible power on Earth when holy cosmos is open before us. And this stellar cosmos is waiting for universal international expansion. Not China, Russia or the USA. International way, international programs, alliance. Together we can take this milestone. This is an appeal to the sensible citizens of the USA and the new young and progressive politicians of America. From an astrologer from Russia, I am a cosmopolitan and a citizen of the world, and I am Russia. I love America very much, and I am very ashamed of such a modern policy of the USA authorities, which discredits the very essence of democracy. Control from the future and manage from the future, original by 1920-21 and March 2022. This is an appeal to the sensible citizens of the USA and the new young and progressive politicians of America. From an astrologer from Russia, I am a cosmopolitan and a citizen of the world. New changing world. I love America very much, and I am very ashamed of such a modern policy of the US authorities, which discredits the very sense of democracy. Thank you very much, my dear friends. We will meet again sometime in the future.
Fight will blood, fight will steel, die with honor, never heal. Heal is heart, heal will pride, into glory we shall ride. I will fighting with my brother side by side.
Еще помню Manowar. From a battle I've come, to a battle I ride, blazing up to the sky. Change of fate, all the fire is tried. I'll see you again when I die.
High and mighty alone we are kings, all winds of fire we ride. Providence brought us the crown and the ring, covered with blood and our pride.
Heroes await me, my enemies ride fast, knowing not this ride the last. Saddle my horse as I drink my last ale, bowstring and steel will prevail.
Лучше я вам русскую песню спою. Russian Song. Моя душа поет. ВВС. ВВС. Военно-воздушные силы. Сфера особого внимания ВВС. Универсальная машина. Универсальная машина. Ночной полет. Поиск пространства. Погода прекрасна. Высота 10500. Наши летчики славные ребята. Небо их дом. Они не грустят, глядя на мир с высоты. ВВС. ВВС. Военно-воздушные силы. Сфера особого внимания ВВС. Универсальная машина. Универсальная машина.
Сегодня не праздник, просто игра. Горячий участок давно позади. Пилоты молчат, смотрят на звезды. Задание выполнено успешно, все улыбаются.
ВВС. ВВС. Военно-воздушные силы. Сфера особого внимания ВВС. Ах, как я долго ждал этого момента, мой маленький зеленый дружок. Наконец-то все джедаи подохнут, и во всей галактике снова настанет мир.